Alright, so today we're going to start on dividing polynomials. Using actual long division. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to go back and kind of review the steps for just a basic number long division problem. Okay, so let's say if we remember a basic long division. Okay, so for example, let's say if we have 5,287 divided by 2. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is find out how many times 2 goes into 5. Well, it goes in there twice. So now we multiply 2 times 2, which gives us 4. Then we subtract. So 5 minus 4 is 1. And then we bring down the next number. Okay, so 2 goes into 12 6 times. Again, we multiply. Actually, make that little squiggly line. So 2 times 6 is 12. We subtract. And then we bring down. Okay, well, we got to subtract first, so that becomes 0, and we bring down our 8. So it's just those same steps over and over and over. So again, 2 goes into 7 3 times. Oh, forgot my 4 here. 2 goes into 8 4 times. 2 times 4 is 8. So again, we multiply. Now we subtract. 8 minus 8 is 0. And again, we bring down. Okay, 2 goes into 7 3 times. 2 times 3 is 6. So again, we multiply, subtract, and then our remainder is just 1 since we don't have anything else to bring down. Okay, so this is our remainder. Okay, so we know that 5,287 divided by 2, turn that way so I can see the screen, that's just going to equal 2,643. And our remainder, which is just plus 1/2. Okay, which is our remainder over our denominator. Okay. Now, really this, like I said, this is kind of the basic, but the steps are exactly the same for polynomials. All right, I'll leave that up for a few seconds. Okay, so as long as you remember multiply, subtract, bring down, multiply, subtract, bring down, multiply, subtract, bring down, those are the very same steps. Thank you. I said it there in case, well, I'm pretty sure other people are going to come in late. All right, so let's say for our first example, what if we divide, say, 6x to the third minus 19x squared plus 16x minus 4 by x minus 2. Okay, which is just another way of saying 6x to the third minus 19x squared plus 16x minus 4 over 2. So you could see it written either way. Just means the same thing. Oh, x minus 2. Sorry about that. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to rewrite it. Okay, so that means we have 6x to the third minus 19x squared plus 16x minus 4 divided by x minus 2. Okay, now if you remember on the basic division problem, we've just handled the first part of the number. So we went right after the 5. We just went right after that one first. Okay. The only difference is our first goal is to get rid of that 6x to the third. So goal number 1, 6x to the third. Okay, and we do that by finding out what can we multiply by x to give us 6x to the third, which would be 6x squared, because 6x squared times x would give us 6x to the third. So we're going to multiply, oops, my eraser, clean that up a little. Multiply x by 6x squared. So we put our 6x squared up here. Okay. Now remember when we did our basic division, we had to multiply, then we had to subtract, and then we bring down? We do the same thing here. So we multiply 6x squared by that entire thing. Because before, we multiplied 2 times 2. But you have 2 terms there, so you just have to multiply the 6x squared by both of them. So you have 6x squared times x is 6x to the third, which is exactly what we wanted. And 6x times negative, well, 6x squared times negative 2 is negative 12x squared. So we multiply. Now we subtract. Okay, but when you subtract that entire thing. Okay, now the one thing you want to remember, just a quick little side note, that when you have negative 6x to the third minus 12x squared, that negative is distributed. So you end up with negative 6x to the third plus 12x squared. Okay, so we have 6x to the third minus 6x to the third, which is 0, which is exactly what we wanted. You have negative 19x squared plus 12x squared, which gives us negative 7x squared. Okay, so we multiplied, we subtracted, and now we just have to bring down. Okay, so we bring down our plus 16x. Okay. Now before our goal was to get rid of the 6x to the third. Now our goal is to get rid of that negative 7x squared. So whatever term is in the front, that's the one we're going to get rid of. Okay, so goal number 2 is to get rid of negative 7x squared. Okay, and we do that by doing the exact same thing. What times x will give us negative 7x squared? That'd be just negative 7x. Because negative 7x times x will give us negative 7x squared. So we put our negative 7x right up there. I can actually put a little barrier here since these are just notes. Okay, so once again, just like we did before, we multiply. So negative 7x times x is negative 7x squared. Negative 7x times negative 2 is positive 14x. Now we subtract. So we subtract that entire thing. And just like before, when you have that negative on the outside, it changes the sign of everything else in here. So that becomes positive 7x squared. So negative 7x squared plus 7x squared is 0, so that disappears, just like we wanted. So you have 16x minus 14x, which gives us 2x. Okay, so we multiply, we subtract it, now we bring down. Okay, so we bring down our minus 4. Okay, so our first goal was the 6x to the third, to get rid of that. Our second goal is to get rid of the negative 7x squared. Now our third goal is to get rid of the 2x. Okay, and just like before, we just want to find out what can we multiply by x to give us 2x. Okay, in this case, it's just 2, because 2 times x is 2x. Okay, so just like before, now we multiply. So 2 times x is 2x. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. So we multiply, now we subtract. So we subtract that entire thing. Okay, so 2x minus 2x, because remember you're distributing that negative, is 0. And negative 4 plus 4 is 0. Okay, so our remainder is just actually 0. So once you no longer have anything to bring down, you stop. Okay, so we know that 6x to the third, bring that up a little bit, minus 19x squared plus 16x minus 4 divided by x minus 2 is equal to 6x squared minus 7x plus 2. Oops. All right, so any questions on that one? All right, I'll leave that up for a few more seconds. Okay, and you can always double check your work, because if you get your denominator and multiply it by your answer, it should give you your numerator. But on the exam, if you figure I'll just multiply each answer and see if, then you'll end up with 0 points for that one. So you don't want to, you want to actually do the steps on the exam. That is just to double check your work. All right, so any questions on this one? All right, leave that up for a few seconds.